Hello everyone. It's day 80. We are Pareto done. And it's day 80 of 100 days of code. This is the Code Call, and we have a special guest today who's going to talk more about forms and form validation. Leon Andersen, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm very proud that we did in 80 days what some can do in 20 days. That's very amazing. Just kidding. We're basically, when you say we're Pareto done, we're actually the opposite of Pareto done.
That's true.
But we do in 80 days what others do in 4 times as much, which then would be Pareto.
20. Yeah.
So the casual 80-3-20 rule that anybody knows. Okay, so well, today against expectations, I did not finish the course yet. Had some other stuff today. But I finished the section with the form validations and briefly looked into the first setup videos of Material UI, but that's too short, like not enough to talk anything meaningful about. But let's dive into form validations. So the validated shopping list is basically where code gave an example of how we would build form validations manually, just to show how unnecessarily or how much of an unnecessary effort that is, just as a contrast to then later or in a moment we'll see how we would do it with a library with what was the name, something hook, React hook form. Basically, it's an npm package. But let's first look at how it would be full of effort. So if we want to validate if the product is valid, we see that we have the use state for product is valid up there in line 4, which basically represents the state of the product input that we have in our shopping list. We can see if you scroll down to the return that where is it, input product name or label HTML for product, line 35 to 46, that the on change is triggered as usual, but we get an error message that shows us that the product name cannot be empty if product is valid not. And if you scroll up again to the product is valid, or to the validate function, basically, we can see that it just checks if the product length is 0, or else it is valid. And this then gets executed in the handle change, in our change handlers, basically, that Can you scroll down a little bit? Few lines. Handle submit. Okay, yeah. Handle submit is product is valid. It's and can you scroll up again? Okay. Yeah. So we have like all these different, as you can see, all these different places where we basically have to set conditional logic with the if statements that you see in line 14, for example. If the value that we are submitting comes from product, then validate if it's true. Otherwise, just return or otherwise just yeah. So basically, set form data is updating the state basically, and like this in line 14 we would have to do because our change handler is for both product and quantity. So if we want to validate product, we have to separately validate or let me check the can you scroll down a bit to the handle submit again? Okay. And the add item, where's the add item? Ah, that's our value. But where is that coming from? Wait, that's a prop, but okay, that's basically a function that updates the state of the shopping list. Okay. So these two interacting shopping list form? So yeah, okay. We have the shopping list component, which is the parent of the shopping list form component. Right. Yeah. Got it. So and yeah, if you go to the on handle, wait, scroll down a bit, please. The handle submit, we see that if product is valid, then add the item to then basically update the state in the shopping list. But what if we also want to validate quantity? It's like very mixed up and like so many individual things that we would have to connect and set conditions for that. It's just unnecessary work. And Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything that makes sense to talk about in this example?
I think you explained it all very well.
All right. Okay. So yeah, then let's go to the form demo where we see the alternative, where we see that we import use form, which is something different than use state or anything, and we don't import it from React, but we import it from React hook form, which is an npm package we have to install first. And you can see that register options, for example, in line 15, those are like different options we can set for each individual input field and type of input field. These are very basic settings here, but you can go very specific. And there's like prepared I mean, as far as I remember, most of that code up there is just copied from the docs of React hook form. So like the handle error function is already pre-prepared, so it works directly with the other pre-prepared code of the React hook form. And we see that if you scroll down to the review, to the return, we see that we basically input, that we write the handle registration and handle error, register options.name, and also, yeah, I mean the whole thing in the curly brackets. We just write it inside of there, and down in line 48 as well, the errors.name. This takes care of options, that like what name is checking for, takes care of errors and error messages, and also handles the registration up there. And I mean that's not for the that's on the submit button for all of the inputs, but yeah, as you can see, we basically have to input these lines that are also pre-prepared, the error.name and the register option.name. And yeah, we have the same with email, register options email, error email, and like it's just these two lines and then some code that we get from the docs. And yeah, this does all the validation logic for us. And yeah, just another example of using a framework or library that where we're just using the endpoints, the final results of, and yeah, similar to one would use Bootstrap or Mapbox and so on. And I think it's awesome that it makes stuff very very easy and simple. However, I'm a bit cautious, especially with things like forms, if there could be any there's some curiosity, what could be security holes, like backdoors, maybe could there be some way how the hook form maintainers like build some backdoor inside where they can get the email and password pair through now from everyone who's using this. Like what would be the possible security holes in using third party in trusting third parties with their packages for stuff like registration, and I don't know how safe that is, but yeah, I'm not sure if I will specialize in cybersecurity, but definitely an interesting question to me.
In the real talk form is open source, so you can always look at the code and see if they are doing anything phony.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Didn't know that. So yeah, I guess like how many of the packages and libraries and dependencies are open source that are usually used, or that I will probably use in the future?
100%. So I would not use anything closed source for building your apps.
Got it. Okay, that's cool. So React itself is also open source?
Oh yeah, it is. And this is the code for React hook form. So obviously it's quite a bit, right? But you can see you would be able to understand it and read it. And let's see how many maintainers are there. So there are 289 people that have contributed to it and 561,000 people that are using it. So at least these would probably notice when there's something fishy going on.
I mean, or all of them conspire together, which is unlikely.
Exactly.
Unless they are all fake accounts from the same person or the same AI agent who traveled from the future.
That is definitely a possibility with any software.
All right. Yeah, that's it for today. Some not very insightful stuff, just some examples of the package and validation logic. But I guess it's good to know, to have it back in the back of the mind.
Exactly. It's not the way that we will end up handling it with most packages, but it's good that you know it because it's definitely a package that is, as we just saw, used a lot. So it could always be that, well, you will come across it in the job and people use it. And it's worth pointing out that the way that the errors are handled here are not correct. So usually you have to connect the error to the input via the ID. So register probably returns an ID of name for this field. So in order to connect the error, you would have to do something like Arial. So you would give this an ID like, for example, name error, and then you would say here Arial described by name error like this. And now if this arrow shows up on screen, people who are using screen readers would be able to, and the screen reader would basically read out this arrow for these people that are reliant on assistive technology. So that this is something useful to know. You should always connect your arrows to your inputs, so it's accessible.
So this is mostly an accessibility issue, right? In this case.
Yes. But accessibility is super important for so many things. Like there are countries, for example, Australia also, where if your software isn't accessible,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to
Yeah, of
distribute
course,
it.
of course. Yeah, I mean, we had that before. Absolutely, I agree. I was just wondering if, in this case, it would still technically work without that. So I guess if that's the case, then Cold probably just didn't include the accessibility for purpose of brevity.
Yes, probably. Even though it just took us like a minute to to explain this, so I don't know if it was the best decision on Cold's part to not include it.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember any accessibility except for the stuff in the beginning.
Yeah, we will take care of that though. Just yeah, we're gonna look into anything that you need to know for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, on one hand, I don't remember the exact guidelines, but also what I actually meant was that I don't remember Cold talking about accessibility in any of the other steps inside of the course. Not sure if there were any necessary accessibility creations necessary or accessibility features necessary. But it's interesting that we're talking about it now because it was only a very short time at the beginning, and then during the rest of the course, it almost never came up again. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's not something that usually. I mean, I also didn't learn about all of this stuff 3 years in or so into my career. So it's unfortunately something that is not very well taught out there, and you have to deliberately learn it. But luckily, us together, we can give it the proper focus very early on.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's it from my side for today.
Great. Then this has been day 80 of 100 Days of Code. And we look forward to having you join us again. If you're watching live, thank you. If you're watching the recording, come join us live. It's always fun. And I don't even know, I think tomorrow, depending on how much you will be able to do, there might be some material UI that we're going to look at, which is one of the biggest user interface packages out there. So as always, very useful knowledge that you can pick up from these streams and ingrain into your brain so that you become a better programmer. Thanks everyone for watching. This has been day 80 of 100 Days of Code with
Leon Andersen and my mentor,
Alex Mill from The Next Dev. Thank you everyone.
Until tomorrow, ABC.